Thank you very much, George sir, for the invitation. I would like to thank Global Ayurveda Festival organizers for giving me a chance to present this paper along with my dear gurus. A warm good evening to you, one and all. Here, I would like to discuss about the common upper limb injuries, fractures and dislocations, mainly anterior shoulder dislocation, then posterior elbow dislocation and polys fracture. Along with that, we can go through the major upper limb injuries also. Coming to shoulder joints, here I would like to discuss about the anterior shoulder joint dislocation. Here, this particular patient presented in OPD with the attitude, the right hand is supported with left hand and he had a fall on an outstretched hand, and here we can see the flattenings of this particular right shoulder joint. Normal contour is lost, and on clinical examination we can see this is Dugas test. The patient is not able to touch the opposite shoulder when the patient is asked to do so. Dugas test is positive, and in shoulder epijoint X-ray, here we can see this is anterior shoulder dislocation. Coming to the reduction of anterior shoulder dislocation, here I am explaining about a Milch method, a modified Kocher's method. Here we can see the arm is abducted above the head. To that particular position, arm is abducted. That particular movement doesn't cause any pain to this particular patient. Just talk to the patient and do the abduction in this particular position. This is modified Kocher's method. We can do Kocher's method or modified Kocher's method. Here I am explaining about a modified Kocher's method or Milch method, which is explained in Adams textbook. And this method is taught to me by my guide Chandra Kumar sir. This is very much easy to do this particular method. In this particular position, in abducted position, we are doing the same Kocher's method, that is traction and external rotation. Traction along the line of humerus, a mild traction along with external rotation itself. Here you can see with the external rotation itself, the anterior shoulder is reduced. This method is very much simple, and then with supporting the thumb in the axilla, we can do internal rotation and adduction. The same method, the Kocher's method, traction along the line of humerus, adduction up to the midline of chest, then medial rotation and adduction. For the same, we are doing the same, but the method is done in a different way. That is, the arm is in abducted position. The cause of anterior shoulder dislocation is external rotation and abduction, and we are doing the reduction method in adduction position, in the same position in which where the shoulder is dislocated. And the protocol, management protocol in all fracture and dislocation is reduction if needed, then retention, immobilization, and the last one, rehabilitation. Rehabilitation should be advised in all cases, but reduction and retention if needed only. Here, this is anterior shoulder dislocation, reduction is needed. As Acharya Susruta explains, Anjanam, Pedanam, Samkshepanam, Bandhanam, and this Anjanam, Pedanam, Samkshepanam, we can conclude it in the reduction method, and the Bandhanam is obviously immobilization, and the rehabilitation techniques is also explained by Acharya Susruta in Hastadalabha. Now, okay, this is the reduction method, Milch method, in which we are done the reduction in this particular case. Here we can see the normal contour is regained after the reduction, and on check X-ray, the patient is able to do the Dugas test after the reduction, and then here we can see on normal AP view shoulder X-ray, this particular X-ray is normal after reduction. In all cases, check X-ray should be taken after the reduction. And here we can see this is the bandaging, that is Swastivandha we are doing to the anterior shoulder dislocation. It should be kept for a period of 3 weeks. This particular bandage should be kept for a period of 3 weeks. In each week, on the 7th day, we are rebandaging this patient after managing the shoulder joint dislocation. And we can apply a full arm sling also. This bandage should be replaced in every 7th day for a period of 3 weeks. Also, we can apply a shoulder immobilizer as per the convenience. If needed, we can apply a shoulder immobilizer also if needed. This is the application of shoulder immobilizer. Okay. This I already explained. The attitude of the patient is, patient come to OPD with the affected hand is supported in opposite hand. there is flattening of the shoulder, patient is not able to do Dugas test and is not able to attempt any movements, we can do the reduction either Koch's method or Mills method, and also we can use Stimson's gravity method also. In Ayurveda, it is explained that Musalana Ukshibet Kachansando Visamkade Stanasthitan Chibetiniat Sostikana Vichakshana, and that particular reduction method is actually Hippocrates method. We can do that method also, but there is a chance of axillary nerve injury and which causes regimental Bart sign, so that it is better to go for Koch's method or Mills method as per your convenience. Okay. This is actually Koch's method of reduction. We can opt this particular method also. If needed, we can go for this Koch's method also. This is Koch's method. In Koch's method, what we are doing is, along with the traction, there should be a counter traction also, and counter traction should be given by an assistant like this. And then traction is given along the line of humerus, and then external rotation is done, and then adduction up to the midline of chest, and at last medial rotation. Here we can see this is traction along the line of humerus, along with the counter traction. Traction is given. And after traction, then external rotation is done. Then adduction up to the midline of chest, which gives the reduction. And after reduction, patient is completely pain-free. This can be used. Actually, this is also an orthosis. Can be used to avoid recurrent dislocation. But we should use shoulder immobilizer instead of Sostigabandha if we are going for orthosis. This is clavicle fracture. In this X-ray itself, we can see the proximal fragment is gone upward due to the pull of sternocleidomastoid, and the lateral fragment is gone downward due to the pull of pectoralis major and gravity. In this particular condition, if needed, we can go for an orthotic. This is figure of 8 bandage, but please note that if we are advising figure of 8 bandage, it should not be too much tight, which may cause axillary nerve injury and artery injury. So that it should not be too much tight. If needed, we can go for Sostigabandha and also a full arm sling in 3 to 4 weeks period. And after that, advise rehabilitation for this particular patient. This is clavicle fracture. Clavicle fracture is very common at the junction of medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3. Here we can see this is the acromioclavicular joint dislocation, which is not much common, but there is a chance of acromioclavicular joint dislocation. And whether it's possible to do conservative management, we shall check whether the displacement is up to the width of clavicle. Whether the displacement is up to the width of clavicle, then the conoid ligament and trapezoid ligament, that is coracoclavicular ligaments, are intact, so that we can go for conservative management. If the width of clavicle, that much only displacement is there, we can go for conservative management. But if the displacement is more, then it's better to go for surgical management. Please note, by the X-ray itself, the patient present to OPD with a lump and pain with fall of history onto shoulder. We shall check whether there is tenderness and go for X-ray and check whether the displacement is up to the width of clavicle. Then we can go for conservative management. This is regarding acromioclavicular joint dislocation. Regarding shoulder, the dislocation most commonest is anterior shoulder dislocation, but there is a rare chance of AC joint dislocation which may be overlooked. So keep in mind this differential diagnosis also. This is the conoid ligament and trapezoid ligament, coracoclavicular ligaments. Based on this, if these two ligaments are teared, then the clavicle will go more up and the displacement is more, which requires surgical management. This is the neck of humerus fracture, which can be managed conservatively up in 90% of case. In 90% of case, this particular injury is very common in old age, and in 90% of case, it is better to go for conservative management and avoid surgical management. With a simple Sostigabandha and a full arm sling for a period of 3 weeks, the patient is able to be pain-free, and after the callus formation, that means we are checking whether there is tenderness and pain on movements, then we shall change the bandage and go for rehabilitation. And it is better to go for conservative management, especially in old age, in neck of humerus fractures. In 10% of neck of humerus fractures with 3 or 4 part fracture with 30-degree angulation, in such conditions, it is better to go for surgical management, and it is below 10% in which surgery is needed. And in greater tuberosity fracture also, it is possible to do conservative management very easily, and in only rare cases only, with more avulsion only, it is needed surgery. In all other conditions, we can do the same swastika bandha for a period of 3 to 4 weeks and then go for rehabilitation. Coming to elbow joint, the most commonest is posterior elbow dislocation. Here we can see the olecranon process of ulna along with the head of the radius displaces posteriorly or posterolaterally with respect to lower end of humerus. Here we can see the olecranon process of ulna along with the head of the radius displaces posteriorly or posterolaterally with respect to lower end of humerus. And the differential diagnosis, the main differential diagnosis is supracondylar fracture of humerus, in which the distal end of humerus is fractured, and along with the distal end of humerus, the radius and ulna is displaced posteriorly and backward. And the patient presents in same way, but the difference is supracondylar fracture of humerus occur in children, and this is common in middle-aged patients with fall on an outstretched hand. The clinical examination mainly regarding elbow, we must check two things. One, on complete flexion, there is an isosceles triangle, and on complete extension, there will be a straight line. And go for X-ray. And before taking X-ray itself, we can diagnose. And the difference between supracondylar fracture of humerus and posterior elbow dislocation is very easily by taking the measurement from angle of acromion to lateral epicondyle, and from lateral epicondyle to radial styloid process. In supracondylar fracture of humerus, the measurement taken from angle of acromion to lateral epicondyle is shortened, and in posterior dislocation of elbow, the measurement taken from lateral epicondyle to radial styloid process is shortened. Surely, X-ray will give the confirmed diagnosis, definitive diagnosis. And regarding posterior dislocation of elbow, we must check whether there is any fracture associated with this particular dislocation. And if there is fracture, then that particular patient should be referred for surgical management. And if there is no fracture associated with posterior dislocation of elbow, the reduction method is already explained by Acharya Susruta. Kaurpuram tu tada sandhi angushtena anumarjit, anumarjya tada sandhi pidayat kurparachudam, prasarana agunjane jegam snehasegam chadabir. And the reduction method is extension of the elbow. We can see that particular reduction method. Here I will show. This is the X-ray. The olecranon process of ulna is along with the head of the radius is displaced. Here we can see the reduction method. Actually, Acharya Susruta explains extension and then flexion. Here we can see after this, in this particular patient, the history of fall is on an outstretched hand, and his age is around 50. And here we can see the olecranon process is displaced. Support, this particular injury occurred to left hand, so that we use the right hand to support, because this displacement is posterior and posterolateral, so that we are using the right hand to support it posterior and posterolaterally, and then along with the left hand we are giving a slight traction and extension, a slight traction along with the extension. That is, prasarana is explained first after giving Angushtena anumarjanam or anumardanam. Angushtena anumardanam, then prasaranam. By this itself, it is reduced, and then the flexion is done. That means agunjana is done. And 3 weeks immobilization is must in all dislocation. And after the period of immobilization, elbow will be stiff, so that we shall go for snehasega. Snehasega is explained, which is as part of rehabilitation by Acharya Susruta. After reduction, check X-ray should be taken, and 3 weeks immobilization, that means posterior cast immobilization should be done from above elbow up to the metacarpophalangeal joint. And then it should be kept for a period of 3 weeks. It should be kept for a period of 3 weeks. And then after 3 weeks, surely we shall go for rehabilitation, as elbow is more prone for stiffness, so that we shall avoid heat, massage and hot application, and also passive stretching in elbow to avoid myositis ossificans or post-traumatic ossifications. Here, posteriorly we are applying the cast, which is 15 centimeter length, and anteriorly we can apply a aluminum splint. And after 3 weeks of immobilization, we shall go for rehabilitation along with active exercise and active uses. We shall go for a dara with ashavanna, which is very good in elbow for the rehabilitation purpose. And after the 3 weeks of rehabilitation, after 3 weeks of immobilization and after 3 weeks of rehabilitation, the patient is able to do all the movements of elbow. And this is a case of supracondylar fracture of humerus. This particular injury is a supracondylar fracture of humerus. In this particular condition, there is a chance of brachiolateral injury due to the proximal fragment, which causes Workman's ischemic contracture. And to prevent that condition, in this particular case, it is better to go for surgical management and avoid conservative management. This is another case of posterior elbow dislocation managed. Coming to wrist Colles fracture, here we can see the commonest cause of Colles fracture is fallen and outstretched hand, and it is very common in females above the age of 40. Here we can see this is Dinner-4 deformity, and the Colles fracture is fracture within 2.5 centimeter at the distal end of radius with a characteristic deformity called Dinner-4 deformity, and the distal fragment displaces posteriorly and laterally. There is two displacement, posterior displacement and lateral displacement. Here we can see this is a 70-year-old female patient come to OPD with fallen and outstretched hand. Here we can see in the AP view X-ray there is lateral displacement, and in the lateral view X-ray we can see the posterior displacement. We should correct both these displacements, and for the correction of displacement, first we should give the traction. Along with the traction, counter traction should be given. Counter traction should be given at the position of elbow joint, and two things should be done. Two assistants should be there, one for traction, other for counter traction, and we should reduce it in a particular position called ulnar deviation. Ulnar deviation is to correct the lateral displacement, and then after correcting it should be kept in an ulnar deviation like this, and in this particular position traction is given, and then counter traction from here, and it should be kept in ulnar deviation to correct the lateral displacement, and the dorsal displacement or posterior displacement should be corrected with the thenar eminence of the doctor, along with the supporting of the proximal fragment. After supporting the proximal fragment with one hand thenar eminence, using the other hand the dorsal or posterior displacement should be corrected, and also we should apply a posterior cast and anterior aluminum splint for a period of 6 weeks ideally, but after 4 weeks, if there is absence of tenderness, we can remove the bandage and start early rehabilitation. If the patient's age is more, it is better to go for early rehabilitation to maintain the movements. This is the check X-ray taken after the reduction of that particular patient after the bandaging with half cast and also using aluminum splint. This is that particular same patient after the period of rehabilitation. After the period of rehabilitation, the patient is able to do all the movements. The only movement arrested at this particular stage of video documentation is dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is not complete, but all other movements are complete in that this particular patient after the management protocol and rehabilitation. All movements are possible after the rehabilitation in this particular case. So it's better to go for conservative management in all these conditions. I shall conclude. The first one I explained is anterior shoulder dislocation, and also the second one is clavicle fracture at the junction of medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3. Then neck of humerus fracture, in which 90% of cases conservative management is possible. In greater tuberosity fracture due to the pull of supraspinatus, in that particular condition also, if there is not much avulsion, we can go for conservative management. In posterior dislocation of elbow without fracture, then in both forearm fracture below the age of 18 also we can go for conservative management. In Colles fracture, definitely in most of the cases of Colles fracture, it is better to go for conservative management than surgery. We can manage this with Kerala traditional Ayurvedic orthopedic management protocol without any painkiller. Immediately after the reduction, patient is comfortable, and with the bandage also, patient feels comfortable. No other internal painkiller or medicines are needed. Internally, we are using in the initial phase Mustadi Marma Kashaya, Laksha Gugulu and Abha Gugulu, and in the later phase we can go for Gandha Daila and Lakshadi Churna and Dhanyandaram Kashayam internally. And the main criteria to be followed in injury management protocol is history and specific diagnosis with clinical examination and relevant investigation. Because in each case, the history of injury is very much important, and proper reduction and immobilization is highly specific. The reduction techniques are highly specific, and along with proper immobilization should be given. Rehabilitation and true mental assurance is also equally important in this case. Once again, thank you for the organizers and dear gurus. Thank you very much.